In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. The manna in the wilderness, like the deliverance of Egypt from the deliverance of Israel from Egypt through the waters of the Red Sea, is an object lesson for us as well as for God's people way back when. The lesson is that everyone got the right amount of manna, no matter how little or how hard they worked to collect it. We didn't hear that part of the lesson from Exodus. We stopped just before that, but let me show you what it says. The Lord commanded the Israelites, gather it, every man of you, as much as he can eat. You shall take an omer apiece, according to the number of persons whom each of you has in his tent. And the people of Israel did so. They gathered, some more, some less. But when they measured it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. Each gathered according to what he could eat. This is a wonderful lesson for God's people about equity. Not equality. You know the difference between equality and equity? Equality is everyone gets treated the same. Equity is everyone gets what they need. It's a beautiful difference, right? You might have seen that little cartoon of the three boys standing at the fence trying to see the baseball game over the fence. And there are three boys with three different heights. One's a tall boy, one's a medium-sized boy, and one's a short boy. Well, equality is the fence is the same height for all of them, but that means that the short boy can't see the game. Equity is they each get a box to stand on that's tall enough for them to see over the fence. And they all get to see the game. In the lesson from Exodus, the lesson of the manna is one of equity. That each receives according to their need, no matter how hard they work or how little they work. And we might think of that as unfair. But God wasn't concerned about what was fair. God was concerned about what the people needed and providing for their needs. Well, the parable of the laborers in the vineyard squares nicely with the lesson of the manna in the wilderness, doesn't it? Each laborer received the equivalent of a daily wage, 1 denarius. That was what people needed to live on day by day, 1 denarius. Remember the slave from last Sunday's parable who owed 60 million denarii to the king? 1 denarius is all you need to live on day by day. And that's what the landowner gave to each of the laborers. No matter if they worked the entire day or the last hour of the day, they each got enough to live on. I find it curious that the laborers who worked all day got angry at the landowner for giving everyone what they needed, for giving everyone enough. They complained, "You have made the people who showed up at the last hour equal to us, who have borne the burden of the day." They grumbled at the equity of the situation, instead of rejoicing that everyone got their needs provided for. Sometimes we are repulsed at the idea of someone getting something for nothing. Unless, of course, that someone is us, right? We don't mind that. But that's what's happening in the parable that Jesus tells. The people who worked all day are repulsed at the idea of the Johnny-come-latelys getting a full day's wage. So my question for us is, have we gotten what we deserve? I hope not. I suspect that if we got what we really deserved, we would not be very happy. Have we gotten what we deserve? Or have we gotten more than our fair share? Has God been generous toward us? Do we find ourselves richly blessed? Are we therefore rich toward others, as the landowner was? Or are we stingy with what we have, making the false assumption that we got what we deserved for our labor? Another parable that Jesus told, this time in Luke's Gospel, might help us better understand and appreciate the parable from today's Gospel. The land of the rich man brought forth plentifully, and he thought to himself, "What shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops." And he said, "I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Take your ease. Eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'Fool, this night your soul is required of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be?' So it is, he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God." Do you want to be a rich fool? Or do you want to be the generous landlord? That really is the question that Jesus poses